Yeah, no, I got Mum was there and she did the double shift. She saw the concert first and then rushed over to watch our game. So yeah, she was happy last night. All her boys delivered, and no, the lads were great. So yeah, I got the videos of it, and yeah, nice.
Great stuff. How's the squad looking ahead of Sunday?
Yeah, pretty good in terms of nothing from last night. Everyone got through it well, and yeah, no one's sort of coming back in. Obviously, Region and Werner are available. Rodri, Bentancur's available. So yeah, so from last night, yeah, nothing untoward.
And in terms of last night, obviously with everything going on in the league and the last 16 stage in Europe, was last night's result maybe the biggest in your time here so far?
Oh, look, it depends on the context of things, I guess. Look, I think it's not insignificant. I think reaching the last, 8 even for a club like ours, hasn't happened often. So in recent times, so I think that's, it's something of significance to this group of players. And and what's been a tough season for us, I think Europe's been something that we can sort of lean on in terms of progress. And yeah, great to get through last night. It wasn't an easy fixture. It was, those European fixtures can be tricky, but for the most part, I thought we handled it well.
You've had 10, 11, 12 players out sort of week after week, a lot of it through Christmas time. But now with the break coming up, can you sort of reflect and maybe going forward, it's sort of like a mini season on its own, finish as high as you can in the league and then try and win that Europa League? Is that how you see it?
Yeah, I think that's been sort of our mindset probably, for the last month or so since we started slowly getting some players back, and obviously with us getting eliminated semi-final of the Carabao and then sort of missing out in the FA Cup straight after, it kind of gave us clarity about what was left for us. And like I said, it's coincided with our fixture kind of easing up a little bit and also getting players back. And like I said, from now on we kind of know what our program's going to be, and with a healthier squad, it gives us a good foundation to tackle it.
International break now. I know you've always stressed the importance of international football. No place for James Maddison or Jed Spence for England. I mean, James very keen to speak to me this week about it. Of course, he'll be disappointed. Can I get your views individually on those not making the England squad and how close they could have been, and do you think they're unlucky?
Look, again, I'm not sort of obviously across it, and I'm pretty sort of critical myself when people question my selections, because every manager's got all the information they need. Oh, I will say, I think Matters is in a real challenging season for us. He's kind of really grinded his way through, and his quality's really come through the last few weeks, especially when we've been able to sort of give him a spell every now and then. And again, last night I thought it was a real catalyst for us in an attacking sense, and also worked hard for the team. And look, Jed's been super this year, and I always feel with these things, particularly with national team selection, it's never a kind of thing where you just draw a line through it. I've got no doubt if Jed keeps performing like he is and Mattis keeps working hard, I'm sure Thomas will be looking across the board at his squads over the next period, and I'm sure both of them will be in the frame. Thank you, mate.
Hi. Just a quick one on Mickey van der Ven. Obviously, he came off midway through. As you said, he's fine, but his minutes were obviously managed last night. How much longer or further ahead do you think that's going to have to be the case for him?
Depend on sort of how he's tracking and how he feels, and how we feel he's progressing. Last night was probably the first the last time he played at Elfsborg was 45, so that's probably the first significant minutes he's had in God knows how many months. So we're just got to be mindful of that. But he felt good last night. We're always going to sort of give him 60 and bring him off. He got through that. Like I said, we've got a bit of a break now to our next game, which gives us a chance to work with him again at training and build up his fitness, and hopefully increase his match minutes as we move along.
The 3 goals you scored last night, the first 2 were from winning possession back, and obviously the third was a brilliant move. Fans would say hallmarks of how you like to play. Does it feel maybe getting a bit closer and closer all the time back to perhaps where you'd like to be?
Yeah, I think so. But that's coincided with a couple of significant things. One is we're getting some key players back, and also, like I said, the ability to rotate the team and keep the team fresh. And I thought we saw evidence of that last night because, like I said, our pressing was a lot better. But that's because, guys like Sonny and Matters didn't play 90 on the weekend. We've got guys coming back into the team, which help us with those kind of things. I think Dom's a massive part of our press because of the way he works in that number 9 position. We don't have anyone else really like him. And then with the ball, like I said, we get our good ball players on the ball, and we're looking sharp in the front third. Great to get Wilson in there. So look, I think those significant things means we can sort of, play the kind of football we want to play, and hopefully we can do it sort of more consistently now.
Archie Gray came on at the end and played in midfield. Now maybe with some of the defenders back, is that something we could see more of between now and the end of the season? Yeah,
potentially. I mean, look, Archie's been unbelievable for us, filling in a number of roles and doing different jobs, and he's never shirked the challenge of anything he's done. He started off at centre-back last night, ended up in midfield, so we'll assess things as they go along, but I think with Archie, the beauty of it is that he can fill in, and we're going to need him to. Like I said, with us still being in Europe, we know once the international break's over, it'll go back to being sort of midweek to weekend games. We wanted that to last at least through the semi-final stage and beyond. So we're going to need people like Arch to do the jobs for us. But if there's an opportunity to push him in midfield, we'll certainly give him that.
And just lastly, obviously Fulham on Sunday. With the game last night, are you expecting changes to be made, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think we need to, like I said, we saw how hard it is backing up, particularly, the Sunday-Thursday is not too bad, but Thursday-Sunday is a massive task. Helps when we're at home. When we're away from home, it's even more difficult. But like I said, with us having a healthier squad, makes sense for us to make some changes. Thanks, mate.
Hi, Ange. Can I just check on Kulusevski if there's any more clarity on how bad his foot injury is and a potential time frame?
No, like I said before, post international break, we expect him to sort of start to moving back towards the team.
I know you were waiting for Kevin's injury to settle down as well. Is there any more information on him as well?
Same sort of. We'll wait till after the international break. We're at the point of the season where both guys, everyone wants to push. There's no point being conservative, and both those guys are really keen to try and get back into the fold. But I think we've got the international break, plus we don't play the weekend. We get back from the international break, we don't play till the following midweek. So that's a good sort of 2.5 weeks for guys who, like him and Richie, to sort of work hard to sort of speed up their rehab.
I know you touched on it a little bit last night. I was wondering if you could expand a little bit more on how important it was to have Mickey and Christian starting together for the first time, I think, in 3 months.
Yeah, look, I think the evidence was there. I thought, whilst those two were on the pitch for 60 minutes, it's as solid as we've been all year. I think they had one shot from a sort of set piece, in that whole time. Apart from that, they didn't really threaten us at all, and I think that comes from the fact that both of them are, I think central defensive sort of partnerships are important, understanding's important. I think both those guys work really well together. They've got different strengths that I think really align, and both with and without the ball, they give us really good sort of options, not just defensively, but I thought with the ball, Mickey is a great outlet for us because he can run with it. He's, obviously having a left-footed central defender helps, and Cootie's passing range is ridiculous. So with and without the ball, I thought it was great to have him back. Like I said, we haven't had them much this year, so hopefully we can build from that.
Finish your valley, please. James Madison was talking about Lucas Bergwijn last night. He said he misinterpreted what kind of player he was when he first arrived. He thought it was like a technical player between the lines, but actually he said in his words he's a bit of a lump. He's quite a physical player. Is that something the coaches have worked with him, or did he come with that kind of physical nature to his game?
No, I think everyone's worked with him. The coaches have worked with him. I think he's worked on it. I don't think he's left Decky's side since he's been here, and Decky's in the gym all the time. He's a great role model for him, and I think if nothing else, Decky forced him to get in there and work hard in his game, and he's an outstanding technical player. I think his technical proficiency is still his greatest asset, but he's growing. You've got to remember, I think he's just turned 20 or 19 or whatever he is. He's still a very young man, so if he keeps sort of building up physically as well to withstand the demands of the Premier League, particularly in that midfield position, you need that physical capability. If you have that and the technical proficiency, then you've got a decent player in your hands.
seems quite striking about when he's in the sixth role as well. Is it very disciplined for someone so young? Is that just something that was naturally there, or is he just very good at taking on instructions?
No, I think he's had to work on that. It's fair to say when he first got here, coaches spent a lot of time with him, just around sort of his tactical awareness and being disciplined. And again, it's a big thing you look for in players, particularly young players, their coachability, their ability to take in information, the ability to use that information then to help them improve. And he's certainly taken that on board at the start. It took him a little bit of time. He kind of, tended to probably run too much. I remember there's a couple of games early in Europe where he just ran out of steam because he was running too much. Maybe overplaying the ball at times. He simplified his game, but that's because the coaches have given him the feedback and he's taken it on board.
Just want to double check with him. It just cramped, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah.
Also, I wanted to ask you about Cristiano Romero. Obviously, 2 starts now, kind of getting sharper. You can see it in the game itself. Last week, he thanked the Argentina physios for getting him back on the pitch. Is that something that's quite common with long-term injuries, that maybe players look towards physios they've known for years to help them?
Depending, like those kind of things are kind of an individual designed around the players. I mean, for us, it's always important. I think what is important is that you treat the individual. And each person needs something different. What we want to do is get the best outcome. And with Kuti, he obviously he's very important to the Argentinian national setup too. So they're always kind of offering their assistance. And I think it's been a combination of both. Them and us coordinated. He spent a bit of time away from here with working with them, and for us the key thing is he's back now, and like I said, he's still building up. He's obviously missed a lot of football this year. He's hardly played, but I think the 2 games he's played, you can see he's growing into it, and again with the international break, hopefully we'll get an opportunity to he gets the opportunity to build that up further.
Okay, we'll end the broadcast section there. Move to the Embargoed section for 10:30 p.m. tonight. Tom?
On Lucas, actually specifically on the holding midfield position, this season, mainly through selection issues and players not being available, you sort of played quite a few players.
Yeah.
But now they're all fit, it feels like you've got quite a lot of options. I think a lot of fans were sort of half expecting in the summer, to go and strengthen that particular position. But do you feel pretty comfortable with what you've got in that?
Look, I think maybe a lot of that is because, with guys like Lucas, Pape, Archie probably, we see a lot in them to become a real good sort of midfield dynamic for us, in that they're all kind of different in what they can bring to the table. And then, like you said, you had sort of Bentancur, Bissouma and obviously Maddison, and I think particularly now with Wilson sort of coming on, Decky will definitely end up in there. We've got some strong midfield options. I mean, I'm not, we sort of, whilst there's work going on in the background around summer, I do feel when we've got everyone available and kind of the squad's at good strength with the development, particularly of Lucas, we're getting to a position where I feel like we're stronger in that area for sure. And I think, again, what you're looking for, what I kind of look for is they've all got different sort of things they bring to the table. They're not sort of like for like. And, from that perspective, that gives us some good sort of flexibility and options.
His power is so impressive.
Yeah.
I saw as well. It speaks to how powerful he is. I mean, it does feel like since when he first came to the field, he's still only 19, how much has he worked on his physique?
He has. That's what I said. Like I said, he's attached himself to sort of Decky, and Decky's in there all the time. I mean, Decky's not a lump, but he's a hell of an athlete, and he's a hell of an athlete because he just works on it all the time. And I think he's a great role model for Lucas, and credit to Lucas that he's taken that on board. And he's worked hard at it. I think he realised. I mean, it's a big jump for him coming from the league he was at to the Premier League in one step. Usually, people have a step in between. Kind of another league before getting to the Premier League. But he just made the step straight away. But I think even visually, you've seen how much he's grown in this sort of 8 or 9 months he's been with us. And I think for us it's exciting because, like I said, I still think his technical proficiency is his greatest asset, but he's added this to it now, where the physicality of he understands the physicality of the Premier League, and for us, it's exciting.
Because of his injury, we just haven't really obviously seen much of it. But even when he signed, I think it was just in a period where there was a lot going on. We didn't really get him to ask much questions about him. I mean, so we don't really know that much about him. Can you give a bit of an insight to what kind of character he is? You said yesterday he's been sort of silently working his way through his rehab. I mean, is he quite a quiet guy? And how much did the dressing room particularly happy with him to have a night like that? I mean, at the end of the game, Basuma was pushing him to go.
Yeah. No, he is. I mean, he's pretty quiet, unassuming, but again, one of these guys always got a smile on his face, very popular in the dressing room. I think the lads felt for him this year because, when you train with someone and you see the potential, because he's exciting. Like when he gets the ball, he does things that others, really can't do in that, running with the ball, taking players on, and everyone fell for him. Particularly, like I said, he got to move to a big club. This was going to be his time, and he had got the injury. Then he had the second one, which was worse. And whenever you're having surgery or something major like that happen during a season, particularly in your first season in a new club, a young player, it's tough, But I get the sense with Wilson, under sort of that quiet, unassuming nature, he's a pretty determined young man. He knows where he's heading, and he's really ambitious. And I was super pleased for him last night. I mean, obviously, 2 goals, but just his general play, his link-up play. I mean, I know, the goal they scored was a stuff-up, but don't underestimate that he ran close to 70, 80 metres as a winger to intercept that ball. I mean, that doesn't go unnoticed by his teammates. They know that, this guy's working hard for a team. He's not just when we have the ball. When we don't have the ball, he's bought into sort of what we're doing. So, like I said, I think that's what you saw after the game. I think he's hugely popular. He's very similar to Pape. They're just really nice-natured young men who go with the flow, but also have a inner determination to be the best they can be.
And just lastly, yesterday, when you were talking about the significance of the result, you talked about the outside noise, which doesn't bother you, but the players and the club are aware of it. How difficult is it for you as the manager to try and keep it from impacting and influencing the dressing room?
Look, it's always a challenge, and the reality is you're never 100% successful because, I'm sure, like I said, young people, particularly today, unless they kind of lock themselves away somewhere, are going to, it's going to infiltrate their world one way or another, whether that's through, social media or interactions they have with others. So, but I've said all along, I've never sensed at any point the playing group splintering or losing belief in what we're doing. I just haven't sensed that, and that's kind of important to me because I've said many times as a manager, particularly through tough situations, it can be a very isolating, sort of existence where you kind of feel like you're the only one sort of in the boat rowing in one direction. But I never got the sense of that with the players. So even last night, like I said, we kind of knew the significance of the night, not from the point of view of anything other than we wanted to progress. Because we think there's a great opportunity for us in Europe. But if things didn't go well, there would have been, the noise would have been amplified to nth degree. And I think the way the players handled all that last night shows that even if the outside noise is kind of infiltrating, because again, when you're looking at a game like last night and you're 1-0 down, you're thinking, well, if you don't score in the first 15, 20 minutes, how the players going to react? Because there can be a slight panic, but I just felt they handled it really well last night. Even though it was 0-0, they were still in control. We scored one, stayed in control, scored our second, stayed in control. And even when they scored, we went up and scored a great goal. So that shows me that they're handling it really well. And it's a credit to them. Like I said, it's not, whilst, okay, it's a quarter-final of a European competition, it's not winning a trophy. For this club, it hasn't happened often, so it's still a significant step, I feel.
Tom?
And just on a similar theme, you said on Wednesday that there are many jobs where you have to come in and answer questions about your future. I mean, how have you handled that in the last few weeks? And do you think the scrutiny here has been more than in your previous jobs in your career? Yeah,
scrutiny is more because there's more noise. But that doesn't mean it needs to affect you. Look, I've said many, many times that it doesn't it doesn't concern me because I'm not really sure how people kind of perceive this role, and particularly me as a person, that they would think that I would worry about tomorrow if there's a negative outcome. I just don't live my life that way. I don't speak that way. I don't think that way. I don't, my whole career, all I've ever done is just try, and I love what I do. I get up every day, take on the challenge, see what the possibilities are, and keep moving. And so, yeah, there's a lot of noise, and I think there's always kind of two sides to that. One is, people there's some critical analysis of what I do. Others just like the story of a manager being under pressure. People get excited by that. Some people really enjoy that process for some bizarre reason, and the more they try and push individuals, whether it's me or anyone else, to that sort of position, then generates for them whatever sort of satisfaction they get out of it. But doesn't infiltrate my world, mate. Irrespective of what happened last night, I still would have gone home and asked my kids how the concert went. My life goes on, mate. It's not that sort of overwhelming that I feel the need to block it all out, or to kind of react to it. Doesn't bother me.
Do you think it's slightly, I don't know if personal is the right word, but do you think it's more intense because it's you, because of where you come from? And do you get that?
If I say, if I say that, then people will just kind of see me playing the victim card, and I don't want to do that. But 100% there's an element of that. There's no doubt about that. Let me give you an example, all right? It's only a small crew here today, so I can share it amongst us. Whatever profession you're in, you're a journalist, you're a plumber, you're a policeman, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you've been doing that job for 26, 27 years. Irrespective of whatever you do you reckon that person's got a pretty good idea about that job? Would you ever question his knowledge on that job? Would you ever question whether, every decision he makes he's thought about or experienced before? But then you might say, okay, but for 26 years, and if you survive for 26, 27 years, it means you haven't stuffed up too many times. And whatever you do, because if you're a plumber, then everywhere you've gone, if there's leaks, then you're not going to get another job. If you're a doctor and people are dying, then you're unlikely to kick on. So if you're doing it for 26, 27 years, he's got a fair idea about what he's doing. Now but then you might say, yeah, but, maybe he's just a grinder, But then if that person started pretty much on the factory floor of that industry, whatever industry it was, maybe you're a CEO or whatever, and he ends up in the position where the top 1% of his profession get to, then you've got to say, oh, okay, this guy must have something. You don't get to that from the factory floor, from the basement to the top 1% in your field. I'm talking about the level, I'm not talking about expertise. But then you might say, okay, but he's out of his depth now. Okay, well, but if you've taken a club that finished 8th to 5th in your first full year, you go, so when you put all that together and then you hear, like I said, he's out of his depth, he doesn't know what he's doing, he's got no idea, his methods don't work, his philosophy doesn't work. In any other industry, you wouldn't do that. You might be critical of his performance, but you wouldn't do that. But Google my name and get some headlines and just plaster them on a wall. And you would say, I don't think that fits somehow. But it does, because that's kind of where we're at.
I guess people would say that the higher up you go in any industry, the more pressure and the more scrutiny there is. That's always kind of the reward of...
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's right. But like I said, there's a difference from that. So like I said, there's critical analysis of performance at every level. And like I said, as you get higher, there's bigger things at stake, for sure. But do you always say, like I said, forget football manager, forget me, just any other, would you say, but he's got no idea what he's doing. He's got no plan B. He's stubborn. His methods don't work. Like I said, he's out of his depth. Like, where does that come from? From people that probably, some weren't even born when I first started managing. I started in 1996, 7. But now, what I do is, like I said, you've got to just accept that it's part of the world I'm in, but I accept it. I don't have to sort of react to it. I can just sort of laugh it off because I just think it's ridiculous. And it doesn't change me as a person, okay? It doesn't change anything I do or what I believe or how I continue to go on. Because my career will go on. Everyone realises that whatever happens, my career will go on. So, yeah, that's a long answer, isn't it?
Do you still enjoy it? 'Cause I remember you said...
I love it, mate.
No, but I mean specifically this period, 'cause I remember you saying at the start you actually, your favourite time kind of when you're...
Yeah, no, I do. I love it. No, I'm not saying that sort of facetiously. I love the fact that, you know, there's a massive challenge there and people are doubting you and all that sort of stuff. I do love it. But I also think that some of it is just ridiculous beyond its nature of being anything other than just cheap, you know, and like very shallow in terms of, like I said, I'm not talking about critical analysis. I'm not talking about, you know, but, you know, oh jeez, I'm going on now. I've got one more story, and then I'll let you go. You know who the greatest nemesis for any manager is? I'll tell you and in today's world, and he's only come to surface probably in the last sort of 5-6 years, I reckon, or maybe 10 years. Mr. Hindsight. You know, Mr. Hindsight is the guy who, when the outcome's there, the result's already done, he's got all the answers with the greatest of certainty that was so obvious, and he's never wrong. And Mr. Hindsight will go out there every time and profess to be the, you know, the oracle of all oracles, because he just deals with what's happened after the event, never before. And there is such a massive Mr. Hindsight. I mean, the Killer should do a song about him. I'd definitely buy it. That's the one that just about every manager will go around. No, I mean, you don't. You want to be critical or you want to have really strong sort of opinions about things. State them before the event. Make them really clear and stand by them when they're wrong, because I guarantee you they'll be just as wrong as any manager is wrong, probably more often. But there aren't many of those. There are some who if they don't do it before the event, after the event, will sort of always put a perspective on their analysis. But I see them, mate, and I hear them after the event. Oh, so obvious. Oh, how did he get that team selection wrong? Oh,
that's just the results, isn't it?
Huh?
That's just results. I mean, you say hindsight, but actually it's just outcomes. Isn't it?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But it's easy to deal with an outcome. Anyone can deal with an outcome. You don't need to even understand football. That team won, that team lost. Oh, that team's better, that coach is better, those players are better, that system's better, those selections are better, those decisions are better. They were always going to be better. I could have told you that before the game. You never did, but I could have told you that before. Everything's obvious. So what's the point? So if it's just results, what's the point of having any analysis? All we'll do is, whoever won, you put a column there, you say, everyone write the same piece for that. Whoever lost, put a column there, write everyone the same piece there. These managers are under pressure, these managers are the best. And then flip it in the following week, because the results always go the other way. But anyway, mate, we should have had this offline. I've said too many things that I'm going to regret tomorrow or this afternoon. Hang on.
And you face Fulham on Sunday.
Yeah.
The emergence of teams in recent seasons, but particularly this season, like Fulham, Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, how much harder has that made Tottenham's ambitions, and how much more competitive has that made the Premier League?
Not just Tottenham's, I think the whole league. I think, and it's no coincidence those teams aren't in Europe. I'm telling you, the player attrition rate for teams in Europe is going to catch up with everyone. And whether I know people kind of look at us, but ask any club this year that's in Europe. I've had a big fixture schedule, and they've all got problems. Now, sometimes they're not as significant because it depends who they hit. You know, with us, I think they've hit significant players, which meant they've been sort of even more exacerbated. But I think it's probably affected a lot of clubs that are in Europe this year, their league form. And that's allowed teams, like you said, the very good football teams like Fulham and Bournemouth and Brentford and Brighton, Forest. It's pretty tight up there. Newcastle, all these clubs who, and particularly if they haven't had any sort of lengthy cup run as well, then it's a competitive league. But I don't think that's going to be any different from now on. I think for all clubs, the attrition rate is just going to increase if you're in Europe, and you're going to find more and more clubs, sort of either going up the table or falling down, depending on how healthy they can keep their players.
Does that take a little bit of the credence away from the Premier League table and how it looks at the end of the season? If some of these teams have maybe had half as many games as some teams who are in Europe and they've had cup runners, does that actually make the gold standard Premier League table 1 to 20 actually a bit less important maybe?
No, I wouldn't say that. I still think there's a level of sort of performance you need to have there that, irrespective of kind of, but it does even up the field, I think, from that perspective. Now, obviously Liverpool have done really well to navigate both, for sure. But I think they're the anomaly. So I don't think it takes away from the achievement and I don't think it takes away from the Premier League. But like I said, I think what you've seen this year, I think actually started last year. I think Newcastle were badly affected last year, a couple of other clubs, and this year I think there's been more clubs. I know we've had a big focus, but there's other clubs that have been affected really badly by injury this year, and I don't think that's going to diminish. And it's probably something that at the beginning of the year, clubs that are in Europe, because again we've got 2 extra games in Europe now compared to last year, they're going to have a look at their schedules and look at their squads and say, well, okay, and you still got 2 cups you have to compete in as well, Carabao, FA Cup. You've got the numbers are cranking up. Players are having less time off in between seasons. So I think there's some test cases. Would probably be one of them that clubs will look at and say, well, okay, how are we going to navigate all this so we don't fall into the same sort of position?
Thanks, guys.
Apologies.